There are pains that scream to the world, and there are pains that choose silence. It is these silent pains, the ones we carry in our hearts without anyone noticing, that most test our souls. You might smile at others, continue with your daily tasks, but inside you are fighting a battle few could understand. Today, I want to invite you to take a different step, a step that demands no haste, no empty promises. Let us walk together through the lessons of the great Stoics, men who faced war, loneliness, betrayal, loss, and yet remained steadfast, serene, inwardly invincible. This video is for you who suffer in silence, for you who wish to rebuild yourself quietly, with dignity and serene strength. Take a deep breath. The journey begins now. 8 Stoic ways to remain steadfast amid silent pain. First, accept what is beyond your control. In times of silent pain, the mind naturally seeks answers. Why did this happen? What could I have done differently? Will this pain ever go away? It is human instinct to try to understand, to try to control. But the Stoic masters teach us something vital. True suffering does not arise from the events themselves, but from our resistance to them. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be one." Likewise, he reminds us, we must not waste our strength trying to change what life has already set into motion. In any experience, there are 2 fundamental categories: what depends on us, our actions, our choices, our judgments; what does not depend on us, the actions of others, illnesses that arise, unexpected losses, external circumstances. Accepting what we cannot control is not passive resignation. It is active wisdom. It is a posture of deep respect for the nature of life, which is impermanent, unpredictable, and often indifferent to our desires. What does true acceptance mean? Acceptance is looking at what has happened and saying to yourself with serenity, "This is beyond my choice. It is not mine to change. What belongs to me is how I respond to it." By doing this, we lift an immense weight from our souls, the weight of useless guilt, internal struggle, and comparison to destinies that were never ours. In daily practice, how can we exercise this acceptance? Whenever you are caught off guard by something painful, pause for a moment and ask yourself, could I have avoided this? Was it under my control? If the answer is no, release the invisible bond tying you to your suffering. Do not personalize the pain. When something painful happens, it does not mean the universe is against you, or that there is a cosmic injustice. It simply means you are alive, and life, for all of us, includes moments of pain. Remember what Epictetus taught us. Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will be serene. This acceptance changes everything. It does not eliminate sadness, but it prevents sadness from turning into despair. It does not erase the pain, but it prevents the pain from consuming your identity. It returns power to the only place where it truly exists, within you. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is to bravely face what the moment demands and to reserve your energy for what can still be built, because even in the midst of the storm, you can still choose how you will stand, and that choice, silent, dignified, steadfast, is where true strength begins. If this reflection resonated with you, take a deep breath. Write in the comments, "I accept what I cannot control." Let this small affirmation mark the beginning of your silent rebuilding. And if you wish to continue this journey towards serene strength, subscribe to the channel. There is a path of wisdom waiting for you, step by step, day by day. Second way, direct your focus toward your response, not the event. When pain strikes us, through loss, disappointment, or silent crisis, our instinctive reaction is to focus on the event. Why did this happen? How could I have prevented it? Who is to blame? These questions imprison us. They keep us spinning in circles within a pain that has no solution anymore. Stoicism, however, offers us a much more liberating alternative. Do not concentrate your energy on what happened. Focus instead on how you choose to respond. Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is a fundamental shift of focus. It is as if, in the middle of chaos, you found an invisible anchor that no one can take away, your inner command. The event is external, the response is internal. You did not choose to be betrayed, to fall ill, or to be rejected. But you can choose not to become bitterness, not to poison yourself with resentment, not to give up on who you are. In practice, how can you shift your focus from the pain to the response? Recognize the event clearly, but do not cling to it. What happened is already a fact. Do not deceive yourself by trying to rewrite the past. Observe, yes, it happened. Then let it go. Ask yourself, what is the most dignified response I can give to this moment? In Stoicism, dignity is more important than success or external victory. Practice the pause before the reaction. Between the event and the response, there is a space. In that space resides your freedom. When you feel the wave of pain or anger rising, breathe. Do not rush. Consciously choose your posture. Adopt the long-term view. Ask yourself, in 5 years, how do I want to remember my response to this pain? This perspective soothes the anxiety of the present and guides your actions with wisdom. Why is this so powerful? Because while the event is already in the past, your response builds your future. Every choice you make amid pain is a brick in the silent rebuilding of your soul. You can allow the event to define you, or you can use your response to redefine yourself with even greater strength, serenity, and purpose. What happens to you may be unfair, but how you respond can be extraordinary. And in the end, the pain will become just part of the background, no longer the center of your story. Third way, practice mindfulness in adversity. When pain arrives, it often seems determined to drag us down. It takes over our thoughts, our feelings, our strength. Many times our natural impulse is to fight against it, to resist, deny, flee. But Stoicism invites us to adopt a different posture. Do not fight the pain. Observe it. Do not judge what you feel. Simply witness it. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When we practice mindfulness, non-judgmental awareness, amid adversity, we stop feeding pain with interpretations, labels, and dramatizations. We begin to see it for what it is, a transient part of our human experience. What does it mean to observe pain without judgment? It means accepting that it is present without trying to define it as good or bad, right or wrong. It means allowing yourself to feel without falling into the traps of victimization or revolt. It means welcoming your own vulnerability with dignity, without rushing to fix what is broken. In practice, how can you develop mindfulness in the face of adversity? Sit in silence and breathe deeply. Gently bring your attention to the sensation of pain, whether physical, emotional, or mental. Do not push it away. Do not analyze it. Just be with it, as if holding the hand of an old friend in distress. Name what you feel without merging with the feeling. For example, I am feeling sadness. Notice that you feel sadness, but you are not sadness. Observe your body's reactions. Where does the pain manifest? Tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, shortness of breath. By observing, you create space between yourself and the pain, a space that is freedom. Avoid mental storytelling. Do not cling to narratives like, "This always happens to me, nothing ever works out, I can't take it anymore." These stories strengthen the suffering. Return to the present, to your breathing, to the simple fact that you are here, now, Why is this practice so essential? Because pain itself is not the enemy. The true enemy is our blind identification with pain. When we believe we are the pain, it controls us. When we observe it with serenity, it loses its power to define us. Marcus Aurelius, in his Serene Wisdom, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." By practicing mindfulness in adversity, you become the observer, not the prisoner of suffering. You rediscover that even amid pain, there is within you an untouched space of peace, a space where nothing and no one can reach. This space is your silent fortress. It is there that emotional rebuilding begins, brick by brick, thought by thought, breath by breath. Mindfulness is not about denying what hurts. It is about giving pain the space it needs to pass, without allowing it to destroy who you are. Fourth way, remember the impermanence of all pain. When we are immersed in pain, it feels as though it will never end. Days become heavy, nights endless. Suffering creates the illusion of eternity, as if that state were fixed, immutable, a new reality from which there is no escape. But Stoicism, grounded in deep observation of nature and human life, reminds us of a fundamental truth. Everything is transient, even pain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe how all things are constantly being born and constantly passing away. Observe the continuous flow of change and see that nothing remains still." Just as the seasons follow one another, winter giving way to spring, night yielding to dawn, so too our pains obey the flow of life. Pain is a season of the soul, not its eternal dwelling place. Why is it so important to remember impermanence? Because the mind, overwhelmed by pain, tends to fixate on the present moment as if it were absolute. Because real hope, the kind born from wisdom, not illusion, requires recognizing that everything, including suffering, is constantly changing. Because recognizing transience brings immediate relief. You do not have to carry forever what weighs on you today. In practice, how can you cultivate this awareness of impermanence? Look at your own story. How many pains did you once believe you would never overcome? How many difficult days seemed endless, but are now distant memories? Use your own history as proof that you have weathered storms before. Observe nature attentively. Trees shed their leaves, rivers alter their courses, flowers bloom and wither. Everything obeys cycles. You do too. Practice the phrase, "This too shall pass." Repeat it silently with serenity whenever pain tries to convince you that it is eternal. Accept that change hurts, but stagnation hurts even more. Impermanence sometimes brings discomfort because it pulls us out of our comfort zones, but it also frees us from the prison of suffering. What happens inside you when you recognize impermanence? You regain perspective. You understand that today's pain may become the fertile soil for tomorrow's strength. You realize that feelings are like clouds. No matter how dense and dark they seem, none remain forever in the sky. Marcus Aurelius also teaches us, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. Meaning, what does not contribute to the renewal of life, including our inner life, must naturally be let go. Pain has its time, respect it, feel it, but do not cling to it as if it were all that exists. Trust. Just as the seasons change effortlessly, your soul is also moving, even if you cannot yet perceive it. Nothing in the universe remains the same, not even your pain. Fifth way, hold virtue as your only unshakable good. In the midst of silent pain, it is natural to feel like we are losing everything. Sometimes we lose people, dreams, plans, and at certain moments it even feels like our very identity is unraveling. It is here that Stoicism offers us a powerful anchor. Everything can be taken from you except your virtue. Marcus Aurelius during his moments of greatest suffering and loneliness, wrote, "If you maintain your integrity, no one can harm you." What is virtue in Stoicism? Virtue is the deep alignment between what you think, feel, and do in the direction of the good. It is the inner steadfastness that remains intact, even when everything around you falls apart. It is made of integrity, compassion, and courage. These are the three treasures that pain cannot steal unless you, through inattention or despair, abandon them. Why is virtue the only truly unshakable good? Because it depends solely on you. Because it cannot be touched by external events, injustices, or losses. Because it is a silent and intimate construction, strengthened precisely during the most difficult moments. In practice, how can you maintain virtue in times of pain? Preserve your integrity, even in anguish. Maintain honesty with yourself and with others. Do not allow yourself to act against your principles, even if pain tries to justify giving up. Cultivate compassion for yourself and for the world. Pain can harden the heart. Do not let it extinguish your humanity. If you cannot offer grand gestures, offer presence, kindness, a welcoming silence. Exercise silent courage. It is not about shouting to the world that you are strong. It is about getting up every day, even without the will, even with fear. Stoic courage is discreet but immensely powerful. Remember that virtue is a daily choice. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Each small decision to act with dignity, even in pain, strengthens your soul. What happens within you when you choose virtue as your greatest good? You stop measuring your life by what you externally lose or gain. You start measuring your life by your silent loyalty to your own values. And this type of strength, the strength of a soul that remains serene in the midst of the storm, is the only strength that nothing and no one can take away from you. Seneca reminds us, "No wind is favorable to those who do not know where they are going." If you hold virtue as your North Star, it does not matter how violent the winds of pain are. You will continue to navigate with dignity. Pain may wound the body, it may weary the mind, but the soul that leans on virtue remains invincible. Hold on to your integrity, hold on to your compassion, hold on to your courage. This is your true inheritance, the one that in the end neither time nor pain can consume. Sixth way, seek the essential. Simplify your mind and your days. In moments of silent pain, our mind tends to become overloaded. We start accumulating worries, expectations, guilt, thoughts about everything we lost or what could have been different. Excess of stimuli, demands, internal pressures turns pain into torment. Stoicism teaches us a golden lesson for such times. Simplify, return to what is essential, eliminate the noise. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on his own struggles, wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less, or more precisely, do only what is essential." Why is simplicity so vital in times of pain? Because the mind is already fragile. Overloading it is like throwing weight onto a boat facing a storm. Because pain needs space to be processed, and complexity steals that space. Because by focusing on the essential, we reconnect our soul with what truly sustains life. The present, virtue, genuine care. In practice, how can you simplify your mind and your days during adversity? Reduce your commitments. Do not try to maintain the same pace as before. Choose a few tasks per day. Ask yourself, what is truly necessary today? Allow yourself to do less, but with real presence. Take care of the quality of your thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself ruminating over useless worries, stop, breathe and ask, does this thought bring me closer to peace or further away from it? Return to the essential, breathing, the present moment. Minimize excess external stimuli. Reduce time spent on social media, news, and empty conversations. Excess information, especially in times of pain, multiplies anxiety. Create simple rituals. Small daily gestures like lighting a candle, having a quiet cup of tea, or writing 3 lines in a notebook help anchor the soul and bring rhythm to inner chaos. Accept that the essential changes according to the moment. In times of pain, the essential may be simply getting out of bed, feeding yourself, breathing consciously. That is enough. And it is dignified. What happens inside you when you choose simplicity? You begin to hear your own soul more clearly. External demands lessen, unrealistic expectations dissolve, and space remains. Space for pain to be felt, for healing to begin, for strength to be rebuilt. Seneca said, "A happy life is one which is in accordance with its own nature, and that can only be achieved by living with few desires and fulfilling them wisely." In other words, peace is not found by accumulating more. Peace is found by needing less. Simplifying is not giving up on life. Simplifying is preparing the soul to blossom once again. When everything feels heavy, noisy, and desperate, ask yourself calmly, what is truly essential right now? What does my soul need most? What can I let go of to walk more lightly? The answers, silent and profound, will show you the way. 7th way, find strength in invisible solidarity. In times of silent pain, one of the most devastating feelings is loneliness. The impression that no one understands what you carry, that you are walking alone down a dark road, without outstretched hands, without attentive eyes, without nearby souls. But this is an illusion created by pain. You are not alone. You never were. Stoicism teaches us that pain is a universal human condition. Everyone, at different times and intensities, goes through their own invisible battles. Many walk beside you, even if silence hides their wounds. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment, and realize that you are part of the human community, where nothing is truly new or foreign to human nature." What does this mean? It means that your pain, no matter how unique it feels, is essentially shared with millions of souls scattered across the world. Every person you pass by, in the subway, in the store, in the park, carries within them a story of loss, of fear, of silent overcoming. There is an invisible solidarity among those who suffer and endure. How can you find strength in this silent bond? Remember, you are not broken or abnormal. The pain you feel is part of being human. There is deep dignity in recognizing this, in accepting yourself as part of the living chain of humanity that feels, that falls, that rises. Find comfort in shared humanity. When you feel lost, look at the people around you and imagine they have also suffered. They also carry something I cannot see. This recognition creates silent empathy and heals inner isolation. Accept that help will not always come in words. Sometimes the greatest solidarity is respectful silence. The simple knowing that others are traveling with you, even without speaking. Also offer invisible solidarity, a gentle glance, a presence without demands, a patience without rush. These are silent ways of saying, I see you, and even without words, I stand beside you. Why is this realization so important? Because pain is multiplied by the belief that we are exceptions, that no one else understands, that we are condemned to solitude. When you realize that pain is part of the great human fabric, that millions in silence are also fighting their battles, you feel less isolated, less wrong, more human. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what happens to one happens to all. Accept naturally the pain that is common to the human condition. What changes within you when you perceive this invisible solidarity? The pain still exists, but it loses the weight of isolation. Sadness is still present, but it carries a seed of compassion for yourself and for others. The soul, once closed in on itself, begins to breathe with the broader rhythm of life. Shared pain does not lessen its depth, but it makes the journey more bearable. Even if no one sees, even if no one speaks, you are never truly alone. Walk with this silent certainty in your heart. It is a lit torch in the midst of darkness. Eighth way, transform your pain into silent service. Silent pain, when endured with dignity, carries within it a rare seed, wisdom. A wisdom that does not come from books or easy words, but from the real experience of those who have suffered, fallen, and without fanfare, risen again. Stoicism teaches us that pain is not only something to be endured, it is also something that can be transformed into growth, transformed into service, transformed into a silent presence that heals and inspires. Seneca wrote, "Just as fire tests gold, adversity tests the worth of a man." What does it mean to transform pain into silent service? It means not letting pain remain only a personal burden, but allowing it to overflow into compassion for others. It means using what you have learned about patience, about loss, about resilience, to make the world around you a little more bearable. No grand gestures are necessary. True silent service happens in the small acts. A glance that understands without judgment, patient listening that does not rush someone else's pain, a calm word spoken to someone in need, a simple presence that conveys strength without having to impose itself. Why is this service silent? Because it seeks no recognition, it seeks no applause. It is a quiet offering, made by someone who knows pain, and therefore knows how to respect the sacred space of another's suffering. In practice, how can you transform your pain into service? Listen more than you speak. Sometimes, all someone needs is to be heard with respect and without haste. Offer patience. Many are battling internal struggles you cannot see. Your patience may be what prevents someone from sinking deeper. Share when the moment is right. Speaking about your journey humbly and sensitively can be a beacon for someone feeling lost. Be a safe presence. Do not try to fix others' pain. Simply be available with serenity and consistency. What happens within you when you transform your pain into silent service? Your own pain becomes lighter because it finds a purpose beyond itself. You cease being just a victim of circumstances and become an agent of transformation in your surroundings. You build an invisible yet profoundly real legacy, that of someone who suffered and chose to grow. Marcus Aurelius teaches us, "What is good for the hive is good for the bee." In other words, what we do for the common good also heals and strengthens us. Transforming pain into silent service is one of the noblest acts the human soul can perform. You did not choose to suffer, but you can choose what you will do with what you suffered. And in that choice, silent and intimate, you will find a new meaning for everything you have endured. The pain was real, the struggle was real. Now, let your wisdom be real as well. If this video spoke to a silent part within you, I invite you to walk with us, subscribe to the channel and share in the comments. How have you found strength amid your own battles? Your story, even in just a few words, could be a light for someone who today walks in darkness. We are together, even in silence.